Hi, today we're going to look at one of my favorite features of Project 2010, the Sync to SharePoint feature. With Sync to SharePoint, a project manager can choose to publish their project schedule up to a Windows SharePoint Foundation team site, and for that, members of their team then to collaborate and update those tasks, and for the project manager to pull that information straight back down into their schedule. To start, I'm going to open up Microsoft Project 2010, and I'm going to choose to connect locally, so I'm not going to connect to Project Server. If you connect to Project Server, the Sync to SharePoint feature is unavailable. So I'm just going to create a very simple project schedule. So I'm going to call this the Project Sync. Task 1, Task 2, and Task 3. Oops. I'm going to insert the work column. I'm going to put some work in here. And I'm going to change these to be automatically scheduled so that we can use the Microsoft Project Scheduling Engine to schedule these tasks for us. So if I link those tasks together and indent them, there you go, we've got a very simple project schedule here, 24 hours work, 3 days duration. I'm also going to insert another column for percentage complete. Now you'll see why in a moment when we get to SharePoint. Now what I'm going to do is choose to upload this schedule to SharePoint using the Sync to SharePoint feature. So I click on File, go to Share, and choose the Sync with SharePoint Task List option. Now here we'll see a couple of areas to configure. First one's the site URL. This gives us a list of all the sites we've synced to previously, or we can type a new one in. I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to click on Validate URL. Project then goes off to SharePoint and pulls down any available task list to sync with. In this case, there's only one called Tasks, or I can put my own in. So I'm going to call one Project Sync Demonstration. When I'm ready, I click on Sync, and the project schedule is going to sync with SharePoint. Now we're going to see an error message to start off with. The Sync to SharePoint feature only enables you to sync manually scheduled tasks. See, SharePoint task lists don't have any concept of automatic scheduling. There is no scheduling engine, so we have to use these manually scheduled tasks. That's fine. So I'm just going to click on OK. Okay, it's done the schedule. It's done the synchronization. So to go off and look at that synchronization, click on File. You'll notice we've now got this area appeared in the backspace view on the main page, and it says here that this plan was last synchronized with a SharePoint task list on the 24th of the 1st. The site is called this, and the list is called Project Sync Demonstration. So I'm going to click on that link. It's going to open the site up for me. So here we go. Here's the site. On the left-hand side, we have the Project Sync Demonstration. If I click on that, it's going to take me into my synced project task list. Here we go. I've got a Gantt chart view here. A little Gantt chart bar on the right-hand side. We've got the project here. If I want to see more detail, I have to click in. SharePoint Sync to Task List uses a hierarchical structure similar to folders to be able to describe the different outline codes of the project. So here we are. Now I'm going to pretend I'm a member of the team and I'm going to update this schedule. I'm going to say we're 50% complete. That's going to write back to SharePoint. Okay, that's written back. If I go back to my project schedule and click on Sync, you'll see that the 50% has come down. You'll also notice that the overall percentage complete for the project itself has updated to 17%. If we go back to our team site, I go back to my main page here, you'll also see that that 17% has been shown in the overall project status there. Now what I'm going to do is try a different way of updating my project progress. I'm going to use some actuals and some remaining work. So to do that, I'm going to add 2 columns here. I'm going to add one called Actual Work, and I'm going to add another one called Remaining Work. And again, I'm going to go and sync those with SharePoint. But before I do so, I need to let SharePoint know I want to sync those. To do that, I click on Manage Fields. It brings up this box that lets me choose which fields to synchronize, but also which project fields map to which SharePoint columns. So I'm going to choose to add a field. I'm going to add actual work. And you'll see it's defaulted to actual work here. Now, if there isn't a SharePoint column of the same name already, when we do the sync, it will create one. So I'm going to add actual work, and I'm also going to add remaining work. Remaining work, and click on OK. Now I'm ready. I'm going to click on sync, and that's going to do the synchronization for me. And behind the scenes in the SharePoint list, it's going to create those columns. So if I go back to my SharePoint list, and I refresh the page, grab that over, you see you can't actually see those new columns just yet. What we have to do is go into the list configuration and update the view to include those. So if I click on Modify View, you'll see in here that actual work is there. I'm going to tick that because I want to see it. And you'll see that remaining work's there. I'm going to tick that because I want to see it. And I'm going to click on OK. And now when I look at the view, you'll see those two columns have appeared. So if I go into a task, you'll also see those two columns are there. So if I drag that across, there we go. This time I'm going to update task 2. And I'm going to say that we've done nine hours work, and there's still 4 hours remaining, so we're running a little bit behind on that one. That's saved back into SharePoint. I'm going to go back to my project. I'm going to click on Sync, and it's going to update that information. So if we look here on the second task, you'll see that we've done 9 hours actual work, remaining work's 4 hours, and the total work's 13 hours. So the task has slipped slightly. Lastly, what I want to show you is what happens when there's a discrepancy between the two, between SharePoint and project. So if I go back to my site, I'm going to modify this last task, and I'm going to change a predecessor. I'm going to say that this task is dependent on task 1. Okay, so I'm going to change that quite a bit. Move off, that's saved. If I go back to project and click on sync, it's detected that there's been a big change in the task parameters, and it throws up this conflict resolution box which shows you which columns have changed. So here the start date, the due date, and the predecessor has changed, and tells me the difference between the project version and the SharePoint version. It also tells me who modified it. It gives me an option which to keep. Now in this case, I'm going to choose to keep my project version, so I'm going to click on project, and that makes project the source of truth for that particular synchronization. So if we go back to our team site here and I refresh the page, you should see that that dependency has turned back to being task 2 and not task 1. So as you can see, the Sync to SharePoint feature can be incredibly powerful when communicating your tasks through to your team. I hope you've enjoyed this screencast. Stay tuned for more. Thank you.